just like that. We're live. Welcome in Guns and Gear Live, where we cover the best for shooters and hunters.
The best and the newest.
The newest stuff, the hotness,
Well,
kids say. Fire emoji.
glad it's not the poop emoji. I don't know. I guess that's yet to be determined. Like,
We'll see.
Yeah, who knows?
Is it fire or poop? This is a new segment.
Yeah, fire or poop. Well, I can tell you one thing that is fire is
not
what we are
planned.
talking about today.
It is fire.
It is fire. This
Yes.
this is a really good one. This is a really good one. ATN, and we've been working with ATN over the past
Several years.
4 years.
Yeah,
4 or
several
5
years. They do cool stuff. They bring in thermal, night vision, also day vision stuff, and it's typically fairly affordable. Even though thermal and night vision can be pretty expensive, their stuff is it's reachable.
It is. It's obtainable.
Yes.
It's not unobtainium.
Yeah, that's right. So yeah, night hunting. We want to talk about night hunting. Discuss your experiences with night hunting.
And what we're talking about today are, and I kind of went a little bit different direction with this interview. Typically, we're talking about the nuts and the bolts of this unit right here, and we get into that. We do get into that, but strategies for preseason scouting, whether you're big game hunting, you're small game hunting, using thermal imaging.
Yeah.
And it can be done real easy. It can be done during the day or the night.
Yeah, that is true. That's a good point. When you talk about thermal, I think people think about night, but thermal works whether it's day or night.
Right.
It's seeing the temperature differences. Now, in the summer, in the south, it's hot. Seeing
It's tough.
animals that are warm against 89 degrees, trees from the summer, there's not as much contrast there.
It muddies the waters a little bit.
It does muddy the thermal waters. But also, when we talk about night hunting, night scouting, half the day, most hunters don't bother with it.
No, absolutely.
Oh, it's dark. We can't see
No.
anything. Well, yeah, you can.
Yeah. Well, and we go into it, and I've got some more observations for you. But we're going to be answering any questions that you guys might have. So we're going to join in with our buddy Steve Lemonov, who often joins the show with us. And you guys check this out, and we'll be back to answer all your questions after this. ATN is one of those companies that continues to bring you everyday products to make every day easier, and especially those long days in the field, those long days at night. We're talking about thermal imaging and observation and scouting today. And joining me is Mr. Steve Lemonov. Steve, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, KJ. Appreciate you having me on the program.
This little guy is unlike what I think a lot of people expect from ATN. This is a small handheld, not designed for use on firearms. Is that correct?
That's correct. The OTS LT is a great, small, ergonomic, handheld thermal scanner that you can bring in a go bag, backpack. Just, it comes with a small bag like this with a shoulder strap that you carry around with you in the field. Very light and very practical. And, you've used it in the field. Why don't you tell the audience, your experience?
So my experience with this, and I think a lot of people understand that I'm a very big proponent of preseason scouting and observing wildlife from afar before you enter the stand or set. When it comes to coyote hunting, when I've had this on my person, what happens is I'll get out very early before I'm even thinking of hunting and just observing the field, observing where I'm going to hunt. And I think, to set yourself up for success, there's a couple things you need to remember. One, this is not a scent eliminating device. Okay, ATN puts a lot of technology in this product, but it doesn't eliminate scent. So you need to have the wind in your favor before entering the field with the OTS LT. And then I'm getting distances, I think, a little bit beyond what you guys actually advertise as far as distance where you can register those heat signatures.
Well, we try to be on the conservative side. It's always, the notion is, under promise, over deliver, right? You want to set the expectations from the get-go so customers are happy with what they have in the field. We have 6 models of this, in a variety of budgets. And for every type of budget, we have a product that fills that need. And I think this is a great example of that, where it fills a very critical role in any hunters or outdoorsman toolkit. It's a great product in terms of it's so versatile. You can use it for search and rescue, scouting, seeing the way to, say, your stand, making sure that you're not getting skunked, as you've mentioned, previously in our conversations. Another example, tournaments. It's great to have it because you don't have to, shoulder your rifle with a thermal scope. You get fatigued. It's a better experience when you can, bring this up to your face. It's very small, ergonomic, and light. Scan the field, see where the target is, then bring your rifle to your shoulder to engage that target.
Well, I think that's something important to remember. When heading out in the field, be sure to check and make sure no one else is in that field, because where this comes in really handy is a safety factor. This is a safety factor. Let's say you go out in the field and you don't know your buddy's already out there and you kind of want to locate them. They've turned off their truck lights. They don't have anything showing. You're not pointing a gun in their direction. And you'll see the heat signature on thermal imaging, but with this, you don't have a muzzle pointed at somebody. And I think that's very important to remember, that this is a life-saving device, essentially.
Especially if you're hunting public land, right? If you don't know the area, if you're hunting public land and you don't know if there's a hunter already in that field, this is a great safety tool to make sure that you're making sure that everybody's safe and you're not pointing firearms at anybody in the field.
Right. And Steve, I'm glad you brought up public hunting, because for a lot of individuals, public hunting is their only access to land to hunt. And if you don't know the area, this is a great way to start locating game. As always, it's important to check your federal, your local regulations before heading out in the field with a thermal imaging device. But it's very important to note, check those regulations before heading out at night or during the day, because this does work during the day.
Absolutely. It's a 24/7 tool. If somebody is maybe in some light foliage or brush, you could see the heat signature. It's a great safety tool, great scouting tool. It's an essential part of anybody's go bag.
Right. So let's get behind the technology of the OTS LT. Now, a lot of ATN products, you have the availability to record. Now, on the LT, you don't, but that's kind of a cost savings deal and allows more people to get into thermal imaging.
Absolutely, yeah. We've really slimmed down, the features. We made it really simple to use. We have the digital zoom, you have the contrast, you have the white hot, black hot, to give you the opportunity to dominate your environment, because sometimes there's humidity, there's adverse weather conditions. So you have the ability to adjust the sensor sensitivity, the contrast of the scene, to change the color palette from white hot to black hot, to give you the very essential things that a thermal device needs to have to be really effective.
Let's kind of explain to people nuke. Wait, you're telling me I have to what this object?
Nuke is not your not using thermal nuclear warheads here, but it's non-uniform correction. What it does is, when you're looking with thermal at a hot object or a scene, and there's adverse conditions like humidity. Humidity is really the enemy of thermal technology. You want to, either, this device has auto nuke or manual nuke. So if, let's say, you don't want the system to refresh, every, I believe it's like 5 or 10 seconds, or whatever the setting is, you could do it manually. So you have the option to refresh the scene by selecting the nuke, and it's a one-button deal, very quick, and it refreshes. It gives you a better, crisper, cleaner image. And you could do it as often as you want. And we encourage people to do it because, again, as you are operating in the field and the environment changes, the weather patterns change, some things may affect the thermomagnetic radiation in the environment, how the sensor uh, receives that information. So you want to have the best image possible so you could recognize and detect what is in the field. Is it an animal? Is it a person? Is it something else? That maybe a hot rock that's a false positive. If it's you're hunting during the daytime and there is like a desert terrain or a plateau where there's really hot and rocks heat up, well, those appear that there's something out there that's giving you a heat signature, and that's called a false positive, right? So you want to look at that scene and see if there's actually movement. If there's no movement, you could assume that it is not a living person or an animal that's alive. So you could continue on with your hunt or adventure, whatever you're doing. In colder environments, like at night, you're not going to get that because the temperatures decrease quickly, especially in the late hours of the night. So rocks cool off. So you're not going to get those false positives.
And as always, you guys have been on the forefront of giving us the best quality for a dang good price, and we love that. If you are interested in this, we do have a link in the description. Go find out for yourself why we keep talking about the ATN Otis LT for scouting and observation. It's really cool. It's a really cool use. We do have some questions coming in. We actually Ryan posted on a poll.
So on our YouTube channel, you're watching right now, you could go over there. Have you ever night hunted? Obviously, we meant legal night hunting.
Yes.
So in the South, it's very popular for hunting hogs. A lot of places, you can night hunt for other stuff like raccoons and coyotes and stuff like that. Nutria rats? You don't know about that.
They're $5 a tail.
They're down here.
$5 a tail.
We have rodents of unusual size down here.
Yes.
I tell you. But we had some interesting comments that we ought to talk about here.
There's one particular that I was like,
this guy says it's illegal in Missouri and not sporting either. So
why not?
So I mean, I guess if he's talking about illegally like spotlighting deer or something, yeah, that's not cool. But I mean, it is legal to night hunt in a lot of places.
Right. And why would you not utilize technology to enhance your hunt or to make you more successful?
Right.
So what is sporting to you? I guess that's my question. So if you're going to call me out on that, I don't want you taking any technology into the field.
Right.
So you're going to have to leave your cell phone behind.
Well, also,
you can't scout beforehand.
When people started putting magnified scopes on guns, there were a lot of people back in the day, in the 40s, 50s, who were going, that's not sporting. Now you just put the crosshair on the deer and just bam, he's dead.
And I want you better make sure you're hunting with stone points and round balls. Okay? And like
longbow.
Don't. What's your idea of sporting?
Certain things are illegal in my state. It's illegal in my state. And then M Tower 235 says, "Why? What did you hear?"
That's funny.
No, we're talking about legal night hunting, obviously,
legal.
but also other uses.
That's funny.
This is not weapon mounted.
No,
so this is a handheld. So yeah, identify things in the field, critters, other people.
Yeah.
And also, you were talking about game recovery.
Game recovery, and that is a really big thing, and that's where this really, really shines.
Even if you're just a regular like deer hunter hunting during the daytime.
Yes.
A lot of big deer are shot right at dusk.
Right at dusk hours, and what happens a lot of times is, let's say you're hunting with a stone point and a longbow, and you're being sporting about it, right? A lot of times your shot is not 100% accurate. A lot of times you may shoot a little far back, catch a little bit of that liver, or even worse, you might gut shoot the animal. Well, there is a time when you have to say, I've got to back out now, because maybe you already bumped the buck, maybe he's going to go on to a neighbor's,
right,
or buck, doe, whatever you shoot, goes over to the neighbors. Now you got to go get permission from that neighbor enter the.
It just makes it complicated. Yeah.
But if you sit there and you pull this out and go, you know what? I know that shot felt back. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to break out my Otis LT and I'm going to glass. And if you can see, okay, that deer, you're going to see the deer.
Yeah.
You're going to see him bedded, and you're going to go, okay, obviously that deer is looking around. You're going to tell all those movements. You can back out.
I have a question. In certain states, we know that game laws vary all over the place, state to state.
Right.
Is it illegal to use something like this in certain states for scouting or for game
absolutely.
recovery?
Absolutely. It is.
Like certain electronics are not okay.
Absolutely not okay. But that's why I make the preface.
That's not the case everywhere.
You have to check your regulations, and if they are unclear, contact a game warden.
Yeah.
I mean,
make sure.
It's okay. They don't mind answering these questions as long as you're up and up about it. But I mean, in a lot of states too, electronics are illegal for use during hunting. So when you're mindlessly saying to a buddy, "Hey, there's a buck headed your way," that can be construed as illegal as well. So before you start saying it's not sporting, you may want to take a good hard look in the mirror as to what you consider sporting.
So Rob says you wouldn't want to night hunt and just injure the target and never find it. How sporting is that?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So, these are kind of cool. ATN has, like I was kind of teasing, they've got a lot of affordable options.
They really do.
Attainable options, I guess I'd say.
Well,
I mean, affordable is a subjective thing, I guess. But they actually have some factory refurbs on some of this stuff. And I don't know if they have it on the OTS, but I'm just scrolling through here. And they have some thermal that's like $500, $800 off from the regular price on the factory
you could save
refurbs.
like $620. You can save $800. Yeah.
BRB.
Yeah. But we do have a link in the description. Click there. It'll tell you all about it, take you to ATN so you can learn more about it. But I will tell you this. ATN is really good about coming out with products that you're like, ooh, I got to have that. But they also are mindful of the cost.
Sure.
So this doesn't record. Now they have an OTS HD that has the record.
Full
it's got
featured.
Full featured. Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
This is LT for light, a little less expensive. If you don't need to record it for video, you're not going to do anything with that. This might be a good option for you. So just some more new hotness. Fire emoji from ATN.
Matt Page says, bare hands or it isn't sporting. Come on. We were talking during the video, and our editor Michael, he said the same thing. He says, if you're not bare feet and you're wrestling it with your hands, it's not sporting.
Not sporting. No, this is super cool. Go check them out and click the link in the description. See you later. Let's see what we get. Always very innovative. It's a lot of fun.